We're going to go to the city archivist to discuss item number 1, Thomas J. Waters Memorial Square in Pleasant Valley Parkway.
So I'll start with a brief briefing. The square was dedicated under the auspices of the Thomas J. Waters Post, VFW, by a committee headed by the department commander and city councilman David Durgan. Thomas J. Waters was born in Mount Pleasant in 1896 and was well-known in amateur baseball circles before the outbreak of World War I. He enlisted in service on October 20th, 1917, and reached France February 21st, 1918. He was wounded in action during the Argonne Offensive and died October 2nd, 1918. His body now rests in the St. Michael's Cemetery. The square is bounded by Raymond, Arol, Orms, and Valley Street, and was approved by the City Council in the Board of Aldermen on September 15th, 1932.
Brief and to the point. We'll now, pardon me?
Yeah, exactly. There's not a whole lot of information on him, unfortunately.
No, but
we'd like to dive into more.
As you know more than anyone, these honorary actions are not only for the person, but probably for all who fought in the war. So it's really fabulous when you think about it. We're going to hear from the Department of Planning, Martina Hagerty.
And Micah, Martina has some slides to share.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. So bear with me for a second.
Martina, I just made you a co-host, so you should be able to.
Yep, it looks like I can. Make sure I share the right screen here. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Okay, great. Anyway, my name is Martina.
Yes.
Director of Special Projects in the city's planning department, and we are in the midst of planning some roadway modifications to this section of roadway that is technically called Pleasant Valley Parkway, but often referred to as an extension of Dean Street. For reference, the area that we're talking about is this section of roadway between Promenade Street and the Woonasquatucket River to the south and Smith Street to the north, in the proximity of Davis Park. And more specifically, the location we're talking about is this traffic island located here on the screen. I've circled the location of the monument in red here. And just a few street views so you can kind of see the context of where the monument is located on this median. And the roadway modifications that we are planning for this coming summer involve shifting the curb line of that median over by several feet, which contradicts with the location of that existing monument stone. And so what we are proposing to this group is that the monument be relocated as part of our construction project diagonally across the street to this sort of extension of Davis Park here. If I can flip back a few slides, you can see here there's this sort of existing path that extends from Davis Park, which is located just north of here. We're planning some modifications to that footpath to widen it just a bit and have it interact with this intersection in a safer way. And so we propose relocating the monument there where it can be seen and it won't be located on a sad, lonely traffic island that's very difficult to get to by foot. And so this is that area, what it looks like today, and then a very crude rendering of what that area would look like in the future with the potential location for the monument located there. I'm happy to answer any questions folks might have about this, but I will mute myself otherwise.
Does anyone have questions? You know, I drove by the other day. I've seen this monument 50 times, but I pay no attention to it. Many monuments are like that, sadly. And you're absolutely right, because you're moving. When you get to that corner, you got to get through the light and get across. And so those who see it probably will pay more attention to it. Anyone else have thoughts or questions?
I would just add that, I use that intersection a lot on my bicycle, and it's a terrible intersection. And so any improvements are welcome. And, moving the monument in this way seems like a really good idea.
Mhm.
I have questions about who will maintain the monument, and also are there any proposed structural changes or landscaping changes once the monument structure is moved to the new site?
I believe, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, other city folks. I believe it is maintained by the Parks Department currently and would continue to be maintained by the Parks Department upon its relocation there. I believe they maintain those grassy median islands now and also maintain that new location where we would plan to relocate it. There aren't any other landscaping modifications proposed other than the shift of the path that I had described. That area otherwise would remain sort of grassy. However, in the future could accommodate additional landscaping elements such as shrubbery or plants and things like that.
Caleb,
Yes.
do you have there's no reason that you know of family?
From what I've researched, no.
Okay. Fine. So, Micah, will you see if public has any comments?
Yes, if the public attendees would be interested in speaking on this at all, please do raise your hand in Zoom and we will recognize you. Scrolling, do not see anyone raising their hand. You can also chat directly to indicate if you are raising your hand and we don't see you. I'm going to call a second time. If anybody from the public has comment, please raise your hand in the Zoom or chat us to indicate your interest. And one third and final time, if anybody from the public wants to comment on item 1, the request for relocation of the Thomas J. Waters Memorial Square marker on Pleasant Valley Parkway, aka Dean Street, please raise your hand or indicate otherwise that you would like to talk.
Okay. So we will ask for comments, additional comments from members of the committee and a recommendation.
One sort of comment or question that I had was if the monument is currently used for the site of any sort of ritual, or I saw that it was established by the veterans of foreign wars. So if there are any celebrations or wreath-laying activities that happen there, and if so, if that could be, the comment is, could that be a consideration when moving it and thinking about landscaping in the new site?
Are you leaning towards asking the either Parks Department or planning to think about enhancing with landscaping the monument?
If, as I mentioned, if it's used for any sort of community use or community ritual.
So the wild guess would be no. I always hate to say this. My guess is that's a piece of no man's land. And my guess is, which happens to monuments quite often, is when you're talking 100 years out, the family has lost interest or moved away, and you know, the military all, those groups all gather at Memorial Park when they do gather. I've been an advocate on protecting World War I monument there, memorial, for 20 years. And I've had about 20 fights with skateboarders and Lord knows who else. And I haven't been able to get support because the groups are dormant. And so we're talking about the biggest, tallest monument in the city. And it's the wrong war. And I worry all the time about World War II, about that happening. I'm not a very militaristic man, but I'm very big on World War I and II monuments. And the Korean War monument I've adopted for 25 years. I clean it, beer bottles every Monday morning. You know, I'm talking long, but I'm just telling you, I think there isn't much. Now, maybe some vegetation would attract the eye, and that's the purpose we could serve, is that we could get people to slow down and look. So if you're recommending that both parks and planning look at enhancing the monument in some way when it's moved to, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but it sounded like that's what you're saying. Now, here's this fabulous moment and it wouldn't cost much.
I agree. I believe I am saying that. I also think that it's a nice opportunity, given that this was a private and, you know, an individual that is not likely honored in any other way, to have some sort of contextual information there about who he was as a person. I thought that it was really wonderful, you know, to hear about his involvement in baseball. So yeah, putting a face or a life behind the structure might make it more enticing for folks to engage with it.
Would you make a recommendation? I think our formal role here is to confirm or not confirm that it should be moved. And I think you're suggesting that when it is moved, that it be enhanced in some way with plannings or more, so that it's more prominent.
Yes. So I'm making a recommendation that I don't want to jump ahead, but yes, in addition to what I will vote on at the end of this, I want to make the recommendation that these thoughts are taken into consideration.
Okay. Micah, can you fashion that into?
Yes, I am taking notes that I can share with Martina and her team.
Okay. And I'm going to volunteer, Caleb, I'm going to volunteer that we can talk to one of the military groups and see if, when it is moved, that we might have an event.
We did do an event. I organized an event back in 2017 with the LaFazia Square. I had a World War I reenactor show up. He played taps. I had a speech. I had someone do a speech. I did additional research, and we did find family members. I'd like to do the same for Mr. Waters, if that's possible. So I can certainly help organize that.
Okay, I'll be your lieutenant.
Sounds great. I also have connections with the Varnum Continental Museum too. I can reach out to them. They're a great resource as well.
Oh yeah, they love this.
Yeah. Yep.
So are we set? Micah, I'm going to depend on you. Would you read the motion, leaving the additional back and forth between the archivist and I out of the motion?
So I think somebody needs to formally make a motion. So maybe just formally call for one, and then someone on the committee can make a formal motion to approve or not the
Okay.
recommendation for.
I was trying to take.
What I'm hearing is the recommendation is for relocation with a modification by enhancing the installation with interpretation.
Correct, made by Becky Davis. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by April Brown. Any further discussion? So I guess we'll just run, just because it's our first action. Can we have April, can we have a yes? You made the motion.
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Marco,
Sorry, my mute was fighting with me. Yes.
oh, okay, at the very wrong moment. See, I have my problems in the beginning, get them out the way. Can we have a vote? Can we have your support of this motion, or?
Confirm support.
Okay, the vote is 5-0, and it has, it's the recommendation that will be sent to to the planning department.